All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. I apologize about the technical issues again. And speaking of the technical issue, Paola is going to be presenting with me today via another method. So if it's not super clear and there's something that needs to be repeated, please feel free, or you have an additional question, please feel free to drop that into the chat, and we're happy to go back through and re-clarify or restate something if necessary. But this will be recorded for quality assurance and training purposes, as well as being uploaded onto our YouTube channel. So that way you are able to go back and listen to this event. If you have something that you would like refreshed on, we do have that available for you guys here in the coming weeks to go back and revisit. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to start off by welcoming everyone. So thank you all for coming in and joining our webinar on navigating resume gaps for career success. My name is Taylor, and I am the STEM career coach here for Career Services. And here presenting with me today is Paola. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A chat. And we have our senior career coach, Rachel, here joining us, who will be here to help support you with those questions or to gather those questions to be able to answer here at the very end of today's webinar as well.
Thank you everyone for being here today. To get started, we'll go ahead and review a little bit of the agenda. So whether you've taken time off to care for family, focus on school, or pursue personal projects, so remember, resume gaps shouldn't hold you back from achieving your career success. So during this presentation, we'll discuss strategies to address and leverage resume gaps effectively. From framing your experiences to showcasing transferable skills, we'll provide you with the tools to confidently build a strong resume.
So according to a job list survey, the top 3 reasons for leaving the workforce are job loss, career change, and caring for children. So in this slide, I'm really going to be covering some and exploring some of the most common reasons I hear from students and alumni regarding their resume gaps and challenges that they face. And the first and most common reason I tend to hear about are those personal reasons. So these personal reasons can include being a stay-at-home parent, dealing with health problems, being a military spouse, or even being a caregiver or having those caregiver responsibilities. Another really big reason I hear about from students and alumni that I work with are due to those job search challenges. This can arise from experiencing unemployment due to layoffs, maybe resignations, or just encountering difficulty in finding suitable employment opportunities, especially if you are that military spouse and you continue to relocate. As a military spouse, I am a military spouse, so I very much understand the challenge that is faced during these job searches and those gaps that tend to happen. And these challenges and gaps it could be likely due as a result from the COVID pandemic. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, employment of women fell by 5.2 million, accounting for 55% of the total employment decline. And over this time, the overall U.S. economy lost approximately 22 million jobs from February to April of 2020. So you may have encountered this gap back then, you decide to go for further education, and now you are trying to come forward into that employment world. So this could be another challenge that you're facing, and it could have been a direct result from that. And then lastly, the third most common challenge I hear, which all 3 of these align fairly closely with that job survey that was provided, is those career transitions. Career transitions play a really big role in a gap, especially if some individuals take time off to go explore, pursue further education, maybe even switching those careers. It can cause a little bit of a lapse in that employment depending on how those transitions are working out when it comes to fulfilling those. So when you're navigating those gaps on the resume, whether they're planned or unexpected, there are effective strategies to manage them. And if you're not sure where to start, it is really important to think about how to fill these gaps in now, because it's never too late, because you want to start, whether you're preparing for that job search or you're already in it, trying to identify ways to begin filling in those gaps is going to be essential. And one really great way to fill this gap in is to showcase those freelance projects. And Freelance projects, you can help share the work that you've done with clients that you might have helped, and you can really showcase those skills and experiences that were developed along the way. Really highlighting those achievements that you've earned on these projects is going to be key on the resume and even in that interviewing process. And if you haven't done freelance work before, I highly encourage you to consider taking on some projects, such as maybe publishing research papers, website development, content writing, maybe becoming a virtual assistant, or taking part in these types of different services. So that way you can start filling in those gaps in the time that'll, maybe depending on the time that you have, it can be a little bit more flexible with your school schedule, your work schedule, that work-life balance as well. So that is one really great way to start filling in the gap. Or if you have already been doing that, that is one way that you can effectively fill that in. And then volunteer work, it really is a powerful option. And when I mention volunteer work to students and alumni, they often think, oh, I don't have time for that. That's too much time. I don't have. And so what I like to reassure you is that it doesn't have to take up a lot of your time. Even getting your family involved in community volunteer initiatives may be fun. And I also suggest considering taking on a role within a volunteer organization because it can make a big difference on those skills that you will develop in really elevating your resume, especially in fields like environmental science, where employers seek candidates who are actively working on environment projects. Or an idea could be like taking part in a community garden, or maybe you start that community garden as a volunteer, or maybe you're seeking a human services role, so possibly volunteering in a nursing home or becoming a CASA advocate. So there are various ways, and they don't have to be long-term commitments. It could be maybe 1 or 2 hours a month, depending on what it is that you're looking to do or have the time to do. So finding something that fits your schedule, it is out there. Additionally, when it comes to volunteer work, maybe you already volunteer for the PTA. Yes, I have parents who come and say, oh, well, I've just been on the PTA, that's all I've been doing. Well, that's really important. That is a lot of work. So that is something, yes, you can provide on your resume to help fill that gap. If you're a coach for your child's team, this is relevant information to include. So finding these opportunities when it comes to volunteer work, look into those local nonprofits, or maybe in-person volunteering isn't the right fit right now. So there are platforms like Volunteer Match that do show different virtual opportunities for volunteering. So maybe look into virtual volunteering opportunities that might be able to meet your needs where you're at now and begin elevating that resume, your experience, and filling in that gap. And then when it comes to placing this information on the resume, you're going to treat that volunteer experience just like your professional experience, where you list a job title or a volunteer title, the organization, your responsibilities, and then your commitment and impact. Well, and then your job duties as accomplishments. Sorry, I was trying to think about the best way to word that one. So, but this information really shows potential employers your commitment and the impact beyond those traditional work roles. Additionally, another way to start filling in those gaps is by joining clubs and organizations. And this is really a great way to gain that relevant experience, but also to build your network. So networking is really important, as it can be beneficial as you go through your job search journey, especially so if you join one of these clubs or organizations, I recommend taking on a role because it's going to have you be more of that active member. It helps gain more experience, build those skills. So maybe you decide to become like a secretary or someone who takes the meeting minutes, or the vice president, whatever it is that you feel comfortable doing and becoming active with. I highly encourage you to do it because that's something that can boost your resume and gives you information to talk about within your interview. So AMU and APU, we do have clubs and organizations that happen virtually, and I'm going to have Rachel drop in the link to learn more about those campus organizations in the chats. That way you can go ahead and check that out if that's something that you're interested in doing and becoming a part of. Another way to start filling those gaps in, which I'm going to assume this is something you are currently doing or have completed, is that continuing education and gaining certification. So these both play a really crucial role in filling in those gaps, because when you list your education, you can also list like 2 to 4 relevant courses you've taken, or maybe 1 or 2 projects that are really relevant to the role that you're looking to do. Those certifications that you've earned also demonstrate your initiative and dedication to staying active and current within the field that you're either pursuing or looking to pursue. And it just helps fill in that employment gap because this is time and dedication you've taken to learn and to grow within your personal and professional life. And so lastly, I really want to emphasize this because I don't want you underestimating the value of part-time or temporary work. We are all adults looking to, of course, survive, and to do that, we need an income. So I speak with students who do downplay some of these types of roles like DoorDash, Uber, maybe an administrative assistant. All of these are really important because these are experiences. So in reality, they build you up as a professional, even if you don't realize it, because you are gaining time management skills, communication skills, becoming flexible and adaptable. These are all transferable skills that are going to be needed in the workforce. And there is a way to translate those skills and experiences based off those jobs. So there is a way to use those to fill those gaps in. So if that is something that you've done just to continue bringing in an income, that is something you can put on a resume to help fill that gap in and to be able to emphasize those transferable skills and tailoring it to those job announcements. So I know I've provided a lot of information on filling those gaps in, but by following these actions, you really can proactively manage resume lapses and present yourself as with those comprehensive range of experiences and skills to those prospective employers and within your network. These steps are actionable regardless of whether you are currently job searching or looking to begin job searching or just in that preparation time frame. So they demonstrate your commitment to entering the field, being proactive, and addressing any of those existing gaps in your resume. And if you haven't already started these steps, or that's okay. Go ahead and start now. There are a variety of ways to begin addressing it. And if you have already started some of this, that's excellent. Let's get together and figure out how we can start effectively filling those gaps in and elevating that resume and preparing you for those interviews. So now that I've reviewed some of the reasons about, why some people have gaps and effectively filling in those gaps, I'm going to pass it on to Paola, where she can start discussing, highlighting those transferable skills that I've kind of mentioned in this slide, as well as kind of framing those experiences within the resume and interview process.
Thank you, Taylor. So as Taylor has mentioned, right, highlighting your skills is crucial, right? Trying to identify the skills that are transferable from one job to the other, whether that's through your current job to a new job or personal projects to a new job. It's really, really important. So our aim is to demonstrate employers that we possess the skills needed to excel in the role they're hiring for. But before we bridge these gaps, the first step is to identify the transferable skills, and there is an activity you can do to pinpoint what those transferable skills are. So what I do suggest is, whenever you do have time, grab a piece of paper and jot down the skills you've gained from past roles and the skills you're required for the job you're applying for, looking for similarities between the two sets of skills. And you can use these similar skills, to emphasize why you're qualified for the position. Now that we've identified your transferable skills, let's build a bridge to connect the dots and show how those transferable skills, transfer from one position to the other. This is where you frame your experience to really demonstrate how applicable and valuable your skills are in this new role. I have a few examples I'd like to share of how you can frame these skills, your skills in specific. So for instance, if someone had previous roles in customer service and retail management, they might emphasize skills such as communication, problem solving, leadership, and teamwork skills. And those are very valuable skills in various fields and can be transferred to different types of jobs or industries. And the idea is to draw attention to these skills as they are seen as beneficial and adaptable, regardless of the specific job or role being discussed. And when discussing or presenting experiences from previous roles or positions or personal projects, the focus should be on highlighting the skills that are relevant and can be applied in different contexts or situations. Maybe you have personal reasons for your gap in your employment history, and that's okay. Remember, what you were doing during your time off can be listed on your resume as well. Here are some ways students we've worked with have effectively framed their experiences. For those students pursuing career in the history field, incorporating leisure activities such as travel to national parks or battlefields can significantly enrich their resume. These experiences demonstrate a practical engagement with historical sites, deepening their understanding of cultural context and historical events. For instance, you could showcase this on your resume by adding a bullet point stating, engaged in extensive travel to national parks and historic battlefields across the country, conducting research and gaining firsthand knowledge of pivotal events. This approach highlights a passion for history and a proactive learning approach outside the traditional academic setting. It also underscores skills in independent research, data analysis, and interpreting significant historical events, all highly valued in the history field. However, if you've served as a caregiver to a family member or yourself and are transitioning to a medical career, you can effectively frame this experience on your resume as if it were employment. Okay, so for example, you can put on your resume successfully managed schedules, communicated with physicians and administered medications, maintained detailed patient records, and provided passionate care, ensuring patients' comfort and safety. Did you see how we build that gap? This demonstrates your capability in medical tasks and emphasizes your ability to handle responsibilities crucial in healthcare environments. Whether in history or medical fields, framing your experiences thoughtfully on your resume showcases your skills and readiness for the career path you're pursuing. Additionally, maybe you have been a stay-at-home parent and you're interested in a finance or business role. As a stay-at-home parent, you've honed valuable financial management skills by effectively budgeting and allocating resources. Whether it's through apps, Excel spreadsheets, or other tools, you've been meticulous in managing household funds across various areas like travel expenses, household essentials, groceries, and more. And these experiences showcase your expertise in financial planning, analysis, and decision-making. Incorporating these achievements into your resume highlights your ability to handle financial responsibilities skillfully and demonstrates how well prepared you are for your desired career path. Whether you've had a gap in your employment history for personal reasons or taken time off for caregiving or parenting responsibilities, it's really important to recognize the value of these experiences. They can effectively be framed on your resume to highlight relevant skills and achievements. Incorporating these experiences in your resume demonstrates transferable skills, adaptability, and readiness to excel in various professional settings. It also showcases your ability to handle responsibilities effectively and contribute meaningfully to your desired career path.
Yeah. With that, Rachel has also dropped a couple more resource links in the chat for you to check out that might be helpful with framing your experiences. One is specifically being a stay-at-home parent. This is as a viewpoint as a stay-at-home mom. However, it can be good for mom, dad, or grandparent, or whatever that stay-at-home role is. And the other is marketing your soft skills, which can also be those transferable skills on a resume. So I highly encourage you to check those out. So those should be in the chat for you. So now we're going to discuss updating that resume format. So since we've talked a little bit about transferable skills, let's go ahead and talk about the resume format and incorporating those skills on the resume. So I have mentioned before that on the resume, you can mention volunteer work, leadership roles, or personal projects undertaken during that gap to demonstrate continued learning and growth. If this is something you have not done, again, consider seeking those opportunities that allow you to maintain those skills and stay connected to your field. And it's okay if you are currently job searching. It's never too late to go ahead and start filling in that gap while you are job searching. These experiences really can help bridge the gap on the resume and just keep you engaged professionally. So for the types of resumes, there are a few different ones, but I'm going to focus on two. And the first one I'm going to talk about is the functional resume format. And this format really emphasizes the skills and accomplishments rather than that chronological work history that you see on a typical chronological resume. It is the more preferred resume when it comes to submitting those different applications. However, it's not the one and only. There are various ways out there because not every person is the same, not every experience is the same. So there are several different types of resumes out there. And that's why I'm going to talk about this one, because this approach can help shift the focus away from the gap and more towards those relevant skills and qualifications that you have. And then if functional isn't a style that you prefer or you don't find that it's working for you, you may consider utilizing a combination style resume. This really blends that functional and that chronological into one resume. And this allows you to showcase your work experience while also highlighting those skills and areas of expertise and those accomplishments gained during the lapses or gaps, such as that volunteer work, online courses, or those freelance projects. So here are two resume examples that we have. Here on the left, we have a functional resume, and here on the right is our combination style resume. And like I said, each has its own unique advantages, serving various purposes depending really on that career path within your goals and how you feel that you can best highlight your experiences for employers. So while both styles have their similarities in format and content, their key difference really lies in this bottom part within the work history section. So both resumes do typically kick off with a summary or professional statement, really highlighting your key qualifications and achievements relevant to the job in which you're applying for. So this starts to set that stage for your strengths and your experiences. And just to take note that this section is not a required section on a resume, it is optional. But for these two styles, they are typically included. And then next, both formats list your skills and areas of expertise, really giving you that chance to elaborate on how you've developed these skills, whether it's through leadership, technical proficiency, project management. This is just a really great way to highlight those projects or roles that weren't necessarily gained as a part of paid work experience. So this is where you could include some, if you don't have or don't feel confident enough in providing that volunteer work experience, or maybe you had a role within your job, but it wasn't part of that job duty. It was just something you did to help out, but you did it on the regular, so you have the experience with it. That's where you can list it up here. So say you do some personal projects, you could, and you are within IT, computer science, cybersecurity, whatever realm it is, you may say that job announcement wants network administration and PC support. So that's where you're going to elaborate on your skills and areas of expertise within that area, because you can say, yes, I have plenty of experience doing that. And then you can elaborate on what you know how to do as it relates to that job. So that way it really starts to focus on what you are capable of versus what role you had, when you had it, and if it really matched that role that you had. So that's really the pro to using this style resume. Same for the combination, but with the combination, it helps you provide, well, it doesn't help, but it does provide that option for 1 to 3 bullet points under your employment history to really elaborate on your job duties as accomplishments, blending your work experience with those skills that are listed up here in the top part of where you select your areas of expertise. So that's really the big main difference between those two. And again, that functional style employment, it's just going to list that it's just going to list your work history section with just including your job title, the employer, location, and the dates. It's not going to elaborate on any of your job experiences. So, but for those filling in the gaps or highlighting maybe for like personal reasons, so Paola had mentioned previously about being a caretaker or caregiver, and this is something that you can list under a professional experience. So maybe a chronological might be a better fit for you, because that is something that you can list on your resume. Using some examples that she had provided can help elevate you and tailor it to that job announcement. So the chronological resume could be a good fit. And it doesn't just have to be for those personal reasons. It could happen. That's just mainly how I have seen it done. So there could be other ways that you could include some different projects on there. But that is also another style. So you can strategically really just list that caretaking responsibilities on the resume in the experience section. The work you're doing is not easy, especially it's just not easy. So of course you've gained skills, you've gained these experiences, and there is room to elaborate on that as it fits to the job. So additionally, if you have been actively filling in those lapses of employment with education, clubs and organizations, personal projects, volunteer work, whatever it is, these are things that you can still include in that chronological if you find that the functional or combination style just isn't the best fit for you. So a way that you could approach this for chronological is listing your education first, then your volunteer experience, and then your professional experience. So that way, by the time the employer makes it down to that part, they can see that you have been very active. So, and it doesn't have to be the volunteer, it could be those professional projects that you've been working on, such as the freelance work. So, there are ways of navigating the resume to making sure that you're honest, because it's going to be very important that the information you put on your resume and what you say in your interview is always honest. So, just making sure that how it comes across is as accurate as possible, but also reflecting on what your capabilities are. So, but this is all information we are so happy to discuss with you. For further assistance with resume writing, you can check out our resume writing guide and resume examples and career links. So like the two that are currently posted here on the slide can be found on career link under the resources tab. I believe it's the second drop down where it has resumes and cover letters. So that way you can check those out. We also have Hiration. So this is a free AI resume writing tool available for free for our students and our alumni, offering to help with that resume formatting, writing, and tailoring. It also assists you with cover letters and optimizing your LinkedIn. So I highly encourage you to check out Hiration. And I believe Rachel will be dropping in links to both CareerLink and Hiration for you to check out. So, but we can also meet with you. We have other webinars as well focusing on that resume writing, and we're happy to assist you with that within career coaching. So please don't hesitate to reach out with us because we are still happy to help.
The online presence can complement your resume by showcasing skills, experiences, networking, and engaging professional development. And on LinkedIn, networking is all about connecting with professionals in your industry or the field that interests you. It's about building connections, building relationships, and using those connections and relationships to help advance your career and grow professionally. The LinkedIn profile functions as a digital resume where you can highlight your work experience, skills, education, and accomplishments. It also allows others to endorse your skills and write recommendations, providing credibility and validation of your professional capabilities. In addition, LinkedIn also serves as a platform for finding opportunities, job opportunities, whether through job postings, recruiter outreach, or networking connections. There are many, many benefits to having a LinkedIn profile. And just as Taylor did mention just now, if you would like to learn more about how to set up your LinkedIn platform, how to use LinkedIn, our university does offer, our careers department does offer and host webinars about LinkedIn and Hiration resume reviews. All right, now let's talk about how to nail that first interview. One crucial step is to thoroughly research the company organization you're interviewing with, because understanding their mission, products, and any recent developments is really important. And this not only shows you're genuinely interested, but also helps you tailor your responses. Next, practice some common interview questions. Think about your strengths, weaknesses, and why you believe you're the perfect fit for the role. It's all about being prepared and confident. And don't forget to come prepared with a few questions for them as well. Show your interest in the company culture and the team dynamics. Asking thoughtful questions demonstrates your engagement and shows you're serious about the opportunity. And during the interview, pay attention to your body language. It's really important to remember to smile, maintain eye contact, and speak clearly and confidently. Nonverbal cues can make a big difference in how you're perceived. After the interview, it's a great idea to send a thank you email to your interviewer. Express appreciation for their time, reiterate your interest in the position, and briefly mention something specific from the interview that resonated with you. It's a nice touch that can leave a lasting impression. Mention any beneficial activities you participated in, such as learning new skills, traveling, or taking care of family responsibilities. And also focus on what you've learned and how it prepared you for the role you're applying for. And Taylor will now be discussing how to build your confidence.
So building confidence, it is not always easy. I feel like it's easier said than done, but I want to give you this piece of information to help you understand that you're not alone. So millions of individuals, they have experienced resume gaps, whether it's ranging from 6 months to 15 years, whether it's more, whether it's less. Just know that you're not alone. I myself have even had a resume gap when a contract at one job was ending and had not secured another job. So it's a small one, but I still face that. And we also have a senior career coach who also has a resume gap of approximately 7 years, and she is what is a veteran, and she was also a military spouse. She was a stay-at-home parent, moving around. So this is to go to show you that you're not alone, and that it's a part of the career journey, navigating these resume gaps. So it really is a normal part of the process. It's just learning to, again, navigate them. So the first step to building this confidence is going to be highlighting your strengths and your values, because once you see what you're capable of, which is a lot, this will help reflect what you're writing on your resume, on your cover letter, within your LinkedIn profile. If you decide to go for that e-portfolio, your confidence is going to radiate through that. So really sitting down, taking some time for that self-reflection to identify where are your strengths, what are your values, what have you done, what are these accomplishments. So this helps when you identify these different areas, it helps shift that focus from the gap itself to what you did during that time, that proactive time. So you are putting on your resume all these positive experiences and skills. So that really, it hides the gap because it's no longer relevant. You have what the employer or recruiter or organization is looking for. So highlight your proactive steps, such as those freelance projects, being involved in various volunteer work, or maybe you started your own initiative and that is something that you want to talk about. Continuing your education, that's huge, or even those part-time jobs. Gaining that understanding of what you've done during this time or you plan to do during this time is going to be essential. So that way you can feel more confident moving forward in this process. And emphasizing those skills and experiences gained during the gap. So when you're writing the resume, it's really going to be important that you do emphasize this, whether it's through, again, the joining those clubs and organizations and becoming a leader through that, learning new skills, doing various works or projects, demonstrating how these experiences have contributed to your professional growth is going to be essential. And when it comes to building that confidence, it's really important to be proud of what you've accomplished and identifying that nothing is really too small, because it's a step towards your success. Be proud of that, whether it's being a stay-at-home parent, continuing your education, maybe even traveling or working through a career change, being successful with a project, earning that certification. Whatever it is that you've done, be proud of it and highlight these achievements to show your ongoing commitment and professional development, because that's what the employer is going to see. They're going to see that about you, and that's the type of people that these employers are desiring. So be sure to focus on those transferable skills. Knowing you are capable is that key to confidence. Discuss the valuable transferable skills gained during your gap, such as time management, communication, problem solving, leadership. These are all skills that are highly sought after by employers in most industries. There was a link dropped a little bit ago with a really great article talking about how to utilize these soft transferable skills on a resume. So I highly encourage you to check that out. And then leveraging your network. This isn't something that we necessarily covered today, but building that network during your time is going to be really important, because connections and networks that you build during this time are people that you can rely on to help you with a job search, gain additional insight. And you can build this network by joining clubs and organizations, attending workshops or conferences, participating in industry events, which all of this also goes towards filling in those gaps because it's educating. You're staying current, and this demonstrates to the employer your engagement in that proactive approach to remaining current and keeping your knowledge, skills, and experience up to par. And then lastly, now this may or may not happen in an interview, or doesn't necessarily have to be an interview. It could be in a conversation that you're having with a connection that you're building. But prepare that positive explanation as to why you have that lapse or gap within your employment. Having a concise, positive explanation ready for interviewers to help frame that gap period as a period of growth and learning, which has prepared you for even better opportunities ahead, because it is a time that is very important, and there are a lot of learning experiences. You're not just saying, oh, this is this is my time. But no, during that time was really important. There was a lot of self-reflection happening and reevaluating. So just have a positive explanation ready to be handed over in a way that frames the work that you've done. And that also helps you feel more confident and capable. And then always, 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 in case you haven't figured out, the theme of this slide is to maintain positivity and that confident attitude. Keep believing in your abilities and the value you offer to employers, regardless of any gaps. By emphasizing these aspects, you really can boost your confidence in addressing gaps and present yourself as a resilient, proactive, and capable candidate that you are. So now I'm going to start reviewing some of the key points because I know Paola and I went over a lot of information in today's webinar. And like I said, this is being recorded, so that way you are able to go back once it's ready to go here in a few weeks on our YouTube channel. But I just want to go through here today to wrap up the presentation and discuss some of today's key points. And one of the first things to take note of is ultimately you want to frame your experiences positively. Did you volunteer? Take a course, focus on that professional development. These are things to highlight or begin highlighting as you are now going to start taking those steps towards it to show that growth and initiative that you've taken during this lapse or this time off. Showcasing your transferable skills is another key point to keep in mind when you are writing your resume, talking with connections, or within that interview. Many skills are applicable across different roles and industries. So emphasizing those that align with your career goals is going to be really important to do. And then update your resume strategically, whether you choose the functional, combination, or chronological style resume. Just be sure that you're intentional with that style, understanding how that style showcases your capabilities, your accomplishments, and that you are that competitive candidate that this employer wants. And ensure that the information and how you tailor it, make sure you tailor it to each job announcement. And then preparing interviews with confidence. Practice explaining your gaps efficiently and professionally, focusing on those positive outcomes and those skills gained during that time. And then finally, begin filling those gaps in as soon as possible. Engage in activities like volunteering, part-time work, further education to demonstrate your proactive approach. And by addressing these employment gaps and working to fill them or identifying your transferable skills, you'll present yourself as that capable, resilient candidate that you are. So here in Career Services, we are here to guide you through the process by assisting you with those resume reviews, practice interviews, and just strategies on navigating the job search process. So we are here to help you and assist you. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us because we are here to help you to succeed and to reach those career goals, whether they're short-term, long-term, both. We're here for you.
We do want to thank everyone for being here today. And just as a reminder, resume gaps are not unconquerable. With the right approach, you can turn them into opportunities. For further assistance, check out our resources we provided, including links to articles, resume templates, and career services. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need personalized assistance and support. We are here to help. And you can contact us at careerservices@apus.edu. If you need help specifically with your resume, feel free to reach out at resumehelp@apus.edu, or you can give us a call at 877-755-2787. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Taylor, there is a question. Is there a better resume style per industry? I wanted to give you the opportunity to speak about that versus me trying to type up a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So a better per industry. Now, I can't say there's one specific one. No, I can tell you that there are private sector resumes. So if you're looking to apply for employment that's not government, federally related, you're definitely going to want to stick with one of those style resumes that I have mentioned, the functional, combination, chronological. There is not one specific per industry. It really just depends on where you're at in your experience, in my opinion, because if you're new to let's say you're new to the field of IT, you don't have any experience in it, then that functional style, especially if you're doing projects or you're volunteering and interning, then that one's going to help showcase your capabilities. because the work experience isn't necessarily related at that point other than those transferable skills or that combination. But say you have a long history within the field that you're looking to go into, or you have that long work history experience, and that chronological resume will probably be a better fit. But for industry specificness, I believe any of them will work. But now if you want a federal type job, then you're definitely going to want a federal resume. So because they have very particular information that's required in a very specific format. So that is really the only big differences on deciding what resume to use is going to be between that private and federal employment.
Taylor, we don't have any other outstanding questions in there just yet, but I am keeping an eye on it. There have been requests for a recording for this, so I did let everybody know that it will be in the Career Services YouTube channel imminently. I've also shared the Career Services YouTube channel link.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I really appreciate your help.
We do have a raised hand if you want to go ahead and let that person come off.
Okay,
mute.
perfect. Let me go back to the screen here. Okay. Oh, one moment, please, while I navigate this. Okay, you should be able to come off mic or off mute. Sorry, not off mic. I was looking at the mic.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hi. So I asked in the Q&A section about the LinkedIn help with my LinkedIn profile because I have a LinkedIn right now, but it's only letting me like connect with military people, and I'm thinking about leaving, so I want to connect with people in the job field I'm going to, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yes, it does. So you're looking to expand your connections outside of the military affiliated connections. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so to do this, I'm going to assume because we use LinkedIn and we recommend using LinkedIn, but I'm going to assume the connections you have are mainly military affiliated. So that's probably why the recommendations are continuing to pop up with those. But the
Yeah.
way I recommend to start expanding those connections outside of the military affiliation is by looking at some different companies that you're interested in. Doing that in the search bar, you can go back through and look at people within those industries that you're interested with those companies and begin connecting with them. There's also a feature on LinkedIn. So if you would want to put in the school that you attend, you can provide your like you go into LinkedIn, you search for American Military University or American Public University, and it'll take you directly to that page. There is an alumni tab where you can select that, and you can begin connecting with people from the university as well. So if you would want to start connecting more of the public side, you might look up people from American Public University. So that could be something to start looking into as well, to start broadening those connections outside of military affiliation.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you have any questions during the process, again, please don't feel free to reach out to us.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? All right, well, we're going to go ahead. We'll stay on here for a few more minutes in case somebody does have a question or something comes up that you would like to ask. But otherwise, thank you all for attending, for joining us here today. We are so excited to have gotten to connect with you, and we look forward to hearing from you. And please stay in touch as we want to support you through your career journey.